2023 had some awful games. Just awful games. Games that if we could go back in time and make them tax write offs, no one would have a problem with it. And quite frankly, the world would be in a much better place. But unfortunately, we cannot go back in time. So the next best thing to do is to create a list of the worst games of 2023. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. So here are the 3 worst games of 2023, according to me. The first game is none other than Redfall. Where do I even begin? This game had a lackluster story. The game is about vampires, which is so 2008. The missions were boring and repetitive. The game has some of the dumbest AI have ever seen in a AAA video game. There were so many bugs. And of course, the cherry on top on this turd sundae, mission progress was tied to the host. So if you're playing with your friends and you're not the host, you get no mission progress. And if you want that mission progress, you're gonna have to play those same repetitive, boring missions again, either by yourself or as the host. It's just not a very good game. I was gonna say that the only saving grace for this game is that it was on Game Pass. But then I realized that I would have never played the game had it not been on Game Pass. So that's not good. So that's Redfall, a terrible game, but not the worst of 2023. There were worst games, including the next one on our list, which is none other than The Lord of the Rings Gollum. This is a game that made Gollum look like what Gollum thinks he looks like if you asked him to draw himself, if that makes any sense. The stealth game had terrible stealth. The parkour was horrible. You would get punished for doing things the game wants you to do. There are a lot of glitches in this game. And to the people who aren't playing the game, the glitches are funny. To the people that did play the game and had to deal with glitches every 30 seconds, they weren't as funny. The story, I don't even know. I don't know what the story is because every time there was a cutscene, I just wanted to enjoy the time that I wasn't playing this game. And the people I feel really horrible about are the hardcore The Lord of the Rings fans because they got a pile of garbage. I mean, the Hobbit trilogy looks like Picasso compared to this game. After all the backlash the devs got for making a terrible game, they decided to write an apology letter, which did not go over well for 2 reasons. For one, it was generic, and two, they got the name of the game wrong. They called the game The Lord of Ring Gollum. How do you mess up the name of the game that you created? But we found out later on that the dev's apology was actually written by ChatGPT. AI wrote the apology letter. I'm kind of starting to think AI wrote the game. Why else would it be this bad? And are there no proofreaders? You're not going to proofread the apology before you put it out? Like, I don't know, maybe we should fix the wrong name of the game? But somehow, as bad as The Lord of the Rings Gollum was, it was not the worst game of 2023. But before I talk about that game, I want to talk about some honorable mentions. These are games that no one expected to be good, and they weren't. The first game is Skull Island: Rise of Kong. Really, the only thing I have to say about this game is that the publisher, Game Mill Entertainment, gave the devs 1 year to make this game from scratch. This is not like writing a book. Developing a game from scratch takes a little bit of time, even for the massive development team of Iguana Bee. Huge developers, I've heard of all their games. The next and final honorable mention is The Walking Dead Destinies, a game that lets you relive the earlier seasons of AMC's The Walking Dead. But this time, you get to choose what happens. Interesting concept, terrible execution. The gameplay was bad, the cutscenes were bad, the voice acting was bad, the graphics were bad. Everything about this game was bad. And it was published by Game Mill Entertainment, the same publishers that published Rise of Kong. So maybe the moral of these honorable mentions is that if you see a game you're interested in that is published by Game Mill, you might want to do some research before you buy it. Now that we got the honorable mentions out of the way, it's time to talk about what I think is the worst game of 2023. And that game is The Day Before. Developed by Fantastic, this game had a lot of hype when it was announced a few years ago. Fantastic called this game a real breakthrough for the MMO survival genre. They said it's no secret that most survival MMOs are all built on the sandbox model, when you set goals for yourself and wander around the deserted world. In The Day Before, we reinvented everything from the in-game goals to the ways we approach the quality of the game mechanics. If that sounds too good to be true, it's because it was. But the game started to lose some hype after a while. Fantastic kept delaying the game for one, and there were just a whole bunch of other issues. Trademark issues, the game was pulled from Steam at one point. This game was a mess before it ever came out. There was so much going on that people didn't even know if this game was actually going to release, and some people thought this game might be a scam. But on December 7th, 2023, The Day Before released. And the world finally got to see that The Day Before was indeed a scam. Instead of the game being a real breakthrough for the MMO survival genre, the game was instead a bare-bones extraction shooter. They couldn't even get the genre of the game right. To me, this was a studio that was biting off way more than they could chew. They have a great idea for a game, a real breakthrough for the MMO survival genre. But they do not have the resources for it. Not even close. So instead, they make a generic extraction shooter. And everybody hates it because they were told something and they got something else. And that something else game sucks too. So, there you go. This game faced so much backlash that 4 days after it was released, it was pulled from Steam and the company shut down. Fantastic is no more. Luckily, everyone that wanted a refund could get a refund, which I'm sure a lot of people did. I'm pretty sure the only people that didn't get a refund are the ones that want to tell people that they own the worst game of 2023. So there you have it. Those are my top 3 worst games of 2023. What are some of the worst games you played in 2023? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I'm Running Man Zero, and I'll see you next time.